Am I the a-hole for not acknowledging I have a sister? 9 years ago, we found out that my 28 female mother had a 5-year affair with someone she met from work. My parents divorced and she went on to get remarried to the man, Greg. My mother moved her husband and his daughter, Kylie, 26 female, from his previous marriage into our house, and I lived with them before I left for college. I remained in minimal contact with them until Kylie joined my company and started working in my department. Nobody was aware of our relation since we had different last names, and I had told Kylie not to disclose anything about this. Last Friday, while clocking into work with a few of my co-workers, Kylie came up to me to ask if I could come home for a family dinner. By lunch, our entire department was gossiping about it, and Kylie would confirm their suspicions. Fed up, I told the department that I do not have a sister. Things died down at work, and I agreed to make it to dinner considering it was my mother's birthday. At dinner, I was bombarded with questions about why I refused to acknowledge my sister at work and refused to even call her my sister. Greg told me I was a petty boy for embarrassing Kylie at work and that he has had enough of me mistreating his daughter. He told my mother that my misbehavior was a result of my parents cuddling. He demanded that I address him as my father and Kylie as my sister and to tell everyone at work that too. At that point, I had enough of his relentless chastising, so I told him that all he signed was a marriage certificate and not adoption papers, so I am not his daughter, therefore will not be addressing him as my father. I brought up the fact that I know my dad had created an account for my college fund and paid child support each month, but they used the funds to purchase a new car and to pay off credit card debt. Back then, they told me that I would have to get a part-time job to help with paying off college, because money was tight since they just got a new car. I always found it weird that Kylie never had to get a job to go to college and could afford to stay in a nice apartment during. Kylie was crying by the end of the argument. My mother broke down and yelled at me to stop, while Greg called me an ungrateful witch. I told them that if they only have the capacity to acknowledge and care for one daughter, then do not expect me to be in Kylie's life as her big sister, and left the house. I guess Kylie posted about it in social media because friends and family called me up. Some told me I was being harsh and unfair to Greg and my mother who took care of me, as well as Kylie who had nothing to do with this, while some understood where I was coming from. So, am I the a-hole for doing this? Now for the top comments. They stole your money. Sue the hell out of your cheating mother. To be honest, I'd stop calling her mother. Cheaters don't deserve any better. Yeah, if she was 19 and received money from her father that the mother and stepfather stole, then that's theft. Why did the dad not just give it directly to the daughter though? Opie might have been living with her mom during that time. I think some places require you to pay child support not until the child is 18, but independent. I guess Kylie posted about it on social media. This is where I have a problem with Kylie. I was a bit miffed that she alluded towards a relationship at work when you had previously told her not to, but now she has turned a private argument into a sympathy farming session. I don't like how she's playing this. Not the a-hole. You seem to have handled yourself really well with Greg. Blended families are complicated. It doesn't help that step-parents sometimes want to overstep. Yeah, I wonder why as well. Like, she asked Opie in front of all colleagues when clearly nobody knew about the relationship, and then informed the parents about this and then again on internet. Feels to me like she's manipulating to get sympathy. But the worst is the mom. Clearly sacrificed her own daughter over husband and stepdaughter. She is the a-hole. Thank you for the overwhelming response. I'm still in the middle of reading all your responses, but there seem to be parts that are confusing, and I couldn't elaborate due to the character limit. So I thought I'd clear things up here. Where I'm from, a lot of people live with their parents when they're in college, but I lived with them for a couple of months before college. Child support is mandated until 18, but my dad wanted to make sure I'm well taken care of, so he continued until I was independent at 21. My dad left me 2/3 of my tuition fee, and it was decided that my mother would pay the other 1/3. Unfortunately, child support in my country isn't heavily regulated, so people could get away with not paying, and people can also get away with misusing the funds. In my case, my dad deposited the money in a joint bank account that had both my mother's and my name on it. She can move funds in and out of that account without needing my permission. Conversely, I could too if I knew about it. And where I'm from, it's really common for parents to have joint accounts with their children, so it makes sense why she got away with that. My dad moved out of state and eventually out of the country, but we're still in close contact with one another. I didn't tell him about the job or having to pay for college myself because I didn't want him to worry. I also didn't find out about the college fund until finding the bank book and statements in the safe right before moving out. At that point, I just decided to cut contact and get out of there because there was already no point in arguing. About Kylie, my boss and HR know that Kylie is my stepsister, but that information is kept private and confidential. Our workplace has the tendency to gossip, and Kylie refers to me as her sister around family and friends. I ask if we can maintain our relationship at work strictly professional, which means not referring to me as her sister because I didn't want our co-workers to think that she got into our company because of our relations. She agreed. As for her social media post, she posted a solemn picture on Instagram and captioned, "Tonight is the most terrible night of her life because her family was breaking apart." When prompted in the comments, she elaborated on how I blew up at them and said I would be cutting ties. While I understand that Kylie is innocent and that I shouldn't extend my resentment from my mother and Greg towards her, so I treat her like a co-worker, but I can't bring myself to see her as my family or a friend, and I'm finding it's even harder to do so after her social media post. Sorry for a super long comment, and I hope this clears a few things up. If there's anything else that's confusing, I would be glad to elaborate. Kylie isn't so innocent. I'm willing to bet that she didn't include why you blew up at them or why you wanted to cut ties. She's old enough to know what her father and mother did. She's making you look bad in order to get sympathy and attention. You did nothing wrong, but they did, including Kylie. Next story. Would I be the a-hole if I asked my ex to stop having our daughter call his new girlfriend Mom? So my ex-husband and I got a divorce several years ago. I got remarried in January 2021, and he started dating someone that same month. My ex-husband knocked up his fairly new girlfriend, and our daughter 8 is starting to show resentment towards them. When I got remarried, my daughter started calling my husband Daddy. It was completely unprompted. I asked her about it, and she said that she felt like he was her daddy, and that's what she wanted to do. My ex-husband freaked the hell out and ended up screaming at her. She told me about it happening when I picked her up and she was crying. I talked to my ex and he apologized to me, but never to her. I now have my daughter in therapy because of multiple things he has been saying to her, which the therapist told me not to inform him that she's going. Now, I really worry about my daughter's mental health. My daughter told me today that her father has been telling her to call his new girlfriend Mom, since she's going to be giving birth to a new sibling. My daughter is already upset about the new baby and doesn't want anything to do with it. I have no idea what to do. My husband has been in my daughter's life for multiple years and no one told her to call him Daddy. This new girlfriend has only known my daughter for a few months, and her father is pushing her to call his girlfriend Mom. Would I be the a-hole if I ask my ex to stop, or if I talked with a girlfriend? Note, just for clarification, I would have no issue with my daughter calling her father's new wife Mom if that was something my daughter felt was right. But her father is the one insisting, and this is a woman my daughter has only seen a total of 10 times. I personally call my own stepdad and stepmom Dad and Mom. My daughter doesn't not like the new girlfriend, but she's admitted that she doesn't feel comfortable with her as well. Not today, Hall, but talk to the therapist about how to handle this. The way her father treats her is horrible. I'm sorry you're dealing with this. According to OP, the therapist doesn't even want OP to inform Dad that daughter is in therapy. Yeah, I'm a bit suspicious of that statement. And if it is true, I'd suggest OP find a new therapist. Any therapist who encourages dishonesty over finding healthier ways to communicate is not very good. Sorry, I wasn't very clear. The therapist doesn't want her father to know just yet, due to the nature of the therapy and that he's been emotionally/mentally abusive. He will be brought into the sessions at some point, but the therapist wants to wait until she knows it's safe for my daughter. Not day Hall. Explain to your daughter she can call the parental figures in her life what she wants, and feel no guilt. He doesn't want your daughter calling her stepdad Daddy, but wants his daughter to call her stepmother Mommy? No, ma'am. He's trying to have the best of both worlds. Update. Holy cow, I didn't expect to get so many responses, and I have been reading through as many as I can. I see a lot of people mentioning lawyers. I have a lawyer, and he is aware of everything. He said that currently there is nothing I can do because there hasn't been physical harm, but we are noting everything. He also said when there's enough evidence from the therapist, we can petition the court for supervised visitation until he receives therapy/anger management and is cleared to see her on his own, but it would be virtually impossible to take away all of his rights to her without evidence of physical mistreatment. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my former stepmother and stepsister to my wedding? My parents divorced when I was 3. Dad remarried when I was 9, and he died when I was 19. After his death, his wife's stepdaughter and I didn't really keep in touch with each other. That was more my choice than theirs. I was never particularly close to them, and had spent more time with my mom than my dad while they were married, because of the distance he lived from us. And when he was gone, I didn't see a point in staying in touch. My grandparents continued to keep in touch with them though, and even told them when they got engaged, and then when I sent invites out last week. After, they got upset about not being invited, both them, and my grandparents started giving me crap for it. My grandparents gave my former stepsister my number and she gave it to her mom. I heard everything from they're still family to it's a slap in the face when people ask why they aren't there. After 7 years of no contact, I wasn't expecting this. My grandparents expressed real disappointment in me though, which is why I came here. With everyone pissed at me and thinking of me as the a-hole, I had to ask. So tell me, Reddit, am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Relationships are two-way streets, with both sides needing to make an effort. If either side wants to participate in the fun events like weddings, graduation parties, and baby showers, then they need to put in the work of weekly/monthly communication to have that expectation. I have an older stepbrother who I have had 3 conversations within 16 years. I still consider him family, but just distant. If you want to be close, got to meet at least part way. Not the a-hole. It's your wedding. You and your partner choose the guests based on their significance in your lives. Not the a-hole. Why is your grandma creating drama for you when you're getting ready to get married? That's just rotten of her. If you don't consider the stepmother and stepsister to be family because you never developed a bond with them and didn't see them much while your dad was alive, your feelings and reactions are totally understandable. Is your grandma bored? Lonely and miserable without much to do besides creating drama where she can find it? Why on earth is she handing out your number to people without asking you first? Sorry to tell you this, OP, but your grandma is the huge a-hole in this situation. I figure this must be your dad's mom, so she considers your stepmom to be her daughter-in-law and thus her family. Still no reason to try and force that BS onto you. Sorry you're dealing with that. It's not just my grandma, but both my grandparents on my dad's side. Tell them your ex-stepmother and stepsister are not your family. You had little to do with them when your dad was alive, and you've had no relationship with them since he died. Tell them to stop talking about you to them, that they're only creating unnecessary drama by doing so, and if they don't, you'll have to limit contact with them. Tell them you're blocking your ex-stepmother and stepsister, and you will not discuss it further. Your ex-stepmother and stepsister are literally strangers to you. They aren't even distant extended family who you see a few times a year. You don't have to spend money on entertaining them for appearances. People, other than your grandparents, will think nothing of them not being there, as they haven't been part of your life for over 7 years. Shut your grandparents down, and then refuse to discuss it further, and don't waste mental energy thinking about it either. Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for expecting my ex to treat all his kids the same? My ex-husband Paul and I have 3 kids together. Since splitting, we have both found new partners and he has had another child, Ollie, with his new partner, Becky. My children spend every other weekend at their dad's. My daughter is about to turn 13 shortly and it falls in Paul's weekend. Ollie and my daughter have an 11-year age gap and Ollie was born the day after my daughter's birthday. We hoped that as the 2 children were born in different days, that there would be no problems. The whole family made running jokes through Becky's pregnancy about her crossing her legs tightly for my daughter's birthday, as her due date was so close. Paul and Becky have decided to have a birthday party for Ollie on my daughter's birthday, and also celebrate hers on the same day. My daughter was very unhappy that she will turn 13 and has to go to a toddler's party, and has to stay home that weekend and have a sleepover with their friends instead. I have contacted Paul to see if this is okay, and he had a go at me for messing with the plans. Am I the a-hole for expecting him to accept his 13-year-old daughter wants her birthday to be about her? Ollie is so young he doesn't know the date, so surely his party can be any other day? Thanks for reading. Not the a-hole. How can he possibly think she wants to share a birthday with a toddler at the brink of her teens? Her birthday is for her, so I don't blame her or you. One birthday celebrated on Saturday and one celebrated on Sunday. Easy peasy. Not the a-hole. Especially if she wants a sleepover as opposed to a kid's party. She could have had a cake and sleepover party with her friends, and family could wish her happy birthday the next day at Ollie's party. Not the a-hole. For X, it's convenient. Ollie probably won't remember. But your 13-year-old will. X made these plans without considering 13-year-old feelings about it. She wants a sleepover. How does that ruin his plans? If 13-year-old doesn't want to go, she shouldn't have to. It's her birthday, not X's. It does not inconvenience him in any way. You're the one who will be watching over the sleepover. If X wanted to be a part of the celebrations, he should have asked 13-year-old what she wanted. I highly doubt that the ex planned any of this. I bet the stepmom planned a birthday party for her child on her stepdaughter's birthday. She can't see her obvious favoritism, so she believes having a cake and presents for the 13-year-old on the same day is equal acknowledgement. She wants a sleepover. How does that ruin his plans? He's not worried about his plans being ruined. He's worried if his family and friends will judge him for celebrating his 2-year-old's birthday on the older child's birthday. If she's there and gets a token cake and presents, it's all good. If she chooses to stay with mom, then everyone knows she's unhappy with the favoritism. Isn't it Jane's birthday? Where is she? That above is what he wants to avoid.